So this is going to be a 40K follow-up. I'm building on a core tactic that I try to play. A tactic that if you're playing, I was going to say Space Marines, but from my perspective, Chaos Space Marines, I've noticed more and more. And while this was certainly always an eternal truth in 40K, more so now where we are in 8th edition, I feel like this is standard operating procedure, especially since this is only the second time in all the editions of 40K, and I'm going to call Rogue Trader the first edition, not the RPG. I'm going to call that an edition of 40K too, even though it was and is its own kind of unique experience in there. But more than ever, approaching armor saves correctly in 40K is key. So in the current edition now, and in Rogue Trader, we have modifiers, AP, to your armor. I understand what the game is doing, right? It's trying to represent the strength and penetrating power of a weapon, the ability to punch through armor, and then once it punches through armor, the ability to damage what's inside, even though it's kind of reversed, strength first and then AP. But I get what it's trying to do. Yet at the same time, I think it falls apart because we're on a D6-based system for armor. And if we look at Imperial Guard flak armor, really isn't much of anything. I mean, a bolt round should just totally shred that on there, and does. But then if we look at a bolter, even going against power armor in the novels and in the narratives in the Black Library, bolter rounds are smashing into it. Everything's smashing into it. Look at the fan stuff that's out there, like Astartes, where the Marines, as they move through that Chaos ship, they're getting hit with anti-tank weapons, they're getting hit with multi-lasers, and just nothing is happening whatsoever to their power armor. I mean, looking at that, and I would say that is absolutely sourced and correct. Imagine tactical dreadnought armor, aka Terminator armor. Like, what? I mean, that's insane. But in 40K, you chew through power armor like it's nothing. I mean, even before the AP system, going back to the previous edition, power armor saved you. I mean, a 3-up at the time with no modifiers is a big deal, but it's still limited to a D6-based system. Well, now, more and more stuff, not just recently, but in this edition, everybody's got at least some sort of AP to start stacking. And on top of that, volume in numbers. I mean, when you see Space Marine armies or you see Necron armies throwing down hordes that in days past were only really seen in Imperial Guard, that's crazy. There's just so much stuff on there. Now, that's cool. I love big games, but what this has led me to believe is that essentially whatever army you're playing, you can't count on armor saves. Just pretend tactically they don't even exist. Now you're like, Fritz, I've been playing space bugs forever. What's an armor save outside of like 4 types of space bugs? Yes, absolutely. Chances are you've been forced to play this way. But if you're playing Eldar, if you're playing Space Marines, if you're playing Chaos Marines, if you're playing Necrons, Necrons I put to the side because you've got reanimation protocols and stuff, you can't count on the armor save anymore. You can't. Just things chew through. Where previous editions, so here's an example tactically. Previous editions, I could be a little more aggressive and push up against a unit and say, okay, I'm going to really move out, really push with this unit. I'll eat a round of shooting from another unit, but I'll still be up there, then I'll get my Marines in there. Not anymore. Not anymore. You can't. Think of armor saves, if you get them, as a way to correct your mistakes. A chance, I'm going to put it bluntly, and this was always true playing Terminators. If you're making any type of saves on your Terminators, you've done something wrong. Those saves are there to save you from getting wiped out. You can't count on it. It's when you've screwed up. And look, 40K, we make mistakes all the time, known and unknown. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that I make that I don't see till after the point. There's mistakes that I make knowingly because that thirst, that cornate thirst for glory is there, where I'm like, I got to do this. I got to do this. I know tactically it's not good. It's a trap, but the chance for glory is too much. So I don't say this from the perspective of you have no idea what you're doing. I do. Sometimes we all do. You still make those mistakes. It would be better to tactically overload something. tactical overload to deal with a unit rather than going 1-to-1 and shooting them. Not that you should ever be doing that, but in the past we could get away with it. Tactical overload would be this. You have at least 2 units engaging a single unit. I'm going to jump back to my Sam Han, my Eldar here. I would have a unit of jet bikes working with a group of Vipers. So literally it was like if I'm taking a jet bike group, there is a Viper group backing it up. If I take a second jet bike group, there is a Viper group backing it up. It was never just like jet bike, jet bike, jet bike, Viper, Viper. One jet bike group unsupported. No. Now they might be a little bit further apart on the table. They might be moving in different pieces, but I always made sure the fire lanes overlapped. And the idea was, let's say there's 2 tactical squads, 2 Marine squads on the table. My jet bikes would move up to engage one group. The Vipers would be behind them and have line of sight and the range to shoot at either Space Marine group. Either Space Marine group. My jet bikes would shoot at the first Space Marine group, hopefully wiping them out. Now, I might have to make some calculations before that. On my way in, I might have a fire prism in the back shoot first. First turn, nothing's in range. Prisms are in range for everything. I would shoot that prism, light up your Marines, take a couple of losses on there, so this way when my jet bikes engage, the Marines are already weakened enough. The idea is those jet bikes are going to wipe out your Marines. If the dice work against me, I need to have volume of dice to do it before I engage, but if they work against me, now I have the Vipers backing them up to shoot into those Marines to wipe them out. That's the way we've always wanted to play 40K. But in the past, maybe you take some risks, you got an armor save. Not anymore. Now, 100%, it has to be this idea of overloading on there. Your thoughts? Armor saves have always been an interesting thing. For the majority of my 40K, do we call it a career? I have not played armies that get armor saves on there. Tyranids, Eldar for a long time. Just with the AP system, either bypassing it in previous editions or modifying it. Or Tyranids, armor save, what's that? Even playing my Chaos Marines, the bulk Coronate Berserkers, absolutely. I've got Mad Chaos cultists in the list. Armor save, what's that on there? So it's something that I've never had to really rely upon fully. If you are completely a power armor player, or worse, not as in worse as in bad, but just the ability if you were playing pure Deathwing, not even multi-wing, just pure Deathwing on there, you really can't rely on that anymore. We want to get out of relying on that. And I expect it, not that I think a new edition is imminent, it's going to happen at some point. I think for the sake of speeding things up, armor is going to be even less effective in the game because Games Workshop is looking to increase the size of the games and speed up the games. So things have to be cut somewhere. I think it's just good 40K practice in general.